Yeah, subscribe to the channel. It is impossible to calmly look at people who need help, who ask for money to buy a piece of bread, and someone asks for medicine for a child or parents. Everyone has their own trouble, and not everyone can help. And not all people come across with a kind heart. Some people drive poor people away. They don't even try to listen. Maybe not so much for those poor people. Maybe a glass of water or a piece of bread will bring joy to the beggars. And you will be repaid. Dear, I'm sorry for my insolence. I have never done this before, and I have no way out at all. I haven't eaten anything for several days. No food, no money, no. Everything is over, and the pension is not yet soon. An elderly woman was standing at the market near one of the counters. Very modest, it was clear that she was very uncomfortable because she had to ask for help to buy at least half of the bread. I collected bottles, wanted to give away and buy food for this money, but I did not know that the reception office would close so early. I don't know how to be now, and I don't have the strength at all. The woman continued to speak quietly. Listen, Granny, would you go further? This is not a pensioner's aid station for you. You know how many people like you come in a day? They complain about life. They ask for money. I'm not an oligarch. I stand here on the market all day, trying to make some money. To live for what? So tomorrow wake up earlier and go hand over your bottles. Maybe you'll still collect a little for today. And after you hand over your bottles, come to me. I can sell you something. Daughter, maybe a piece of bread or a bun. You'll give me one, and I'll return the money to you tomorrow. Otherwise, my head is spinning from hunger. No, it won't work that way. I said, I don't do charity. I barely finish with the ends. That's it, go on. Don't distract me for nothing. And the girl immediately switched to the man who was standing next to her. He was a regular customer. She immediately changed her unhappy face to a happy one with a smile to the ears and began to tell what fresh buns and rolls they brought. Here, pay attention, the layers with fresh apple jam, and the pies with warm cherries and the gingerbreads, they are so eager to take them to the teapot themselves. He calmly said. The man was completely absorbed in his thoughts, so he did not even pay attention to the fact that the woman standing in front said something to the seller. I would be ruled by a poppy, and since the pies are so fresh, as you say, then give them too. The man again thoughtfully looked aside and waited for the seller to collect everything for him, and did not notice at all the elderly woman who stopped not far from the tent, and without. Then the seller gave everything he ordered in the bag, and the man pulled out his wallet to pay. When he was waiting for the delivery, he unwittingly looked at the woman. His attention switched to the watch that she had on her hand. The old woman did not look like a beggar at all, had an intelligent look and a proud posture. Dressed modestly, but very discreetly, Sergei got into his car and started his journey. His office was not far from this market, so the man often visited here. As soon as he entered his office, the secretary told him that his wife was calling and asked to call back when he would return. Oh, Julia, what has already started? Sergei was anxious. No, it seems. Perhaps the girl was in a bad mood. Sergei was in charge of the company that was engaged in the sale of household appliances. Like everyone in the 90s, he decided to. He started with little, but now he has achieved a lot. The firm has grown significantly. Sergei's office was located on the outskirts of the city. With his income, he could afford an office in the center, but did not like to waste money on nothing. Sergei built a huge house and lived there with his wife and 2 sons. But 2 sons are not the limit of his dreams. He and his wife were waiting for the 3rd child to appear, because the deadline was very close. Tanya, what happened? Has the time already come? No, Seryoza, it's too early. It's different here. We are being called to school. Gleb fought with a classmate again. Oh, Tanya, I have so much work. I don't even know if I can go. Also, the meeting is very important today. Seryoza, you don't understand. It will be hard for me to go. Of course I understand. You don't have to go anywhere. You must take care of yourself now. I will try to break out. And Gleb will be my slave today. Does he not understand a word? Well, dear, I'm sorry. I have to work. Don't wait for dinner. Well, you again? You are always busy with your work. You rarely visit home. Soon the children will forget how their father looks like. You leave very early when they are still sleeping, and when you come, they're already sleeping. You can't do that. You have to give yourself time for rest. I worry about you. And what to do? I have such a job. If it wasn't for her, we wouldn't have all that we have now. I hope this burden will disappear in a week. It will be easier. I will soon go to the maternity home. Who will the children stay with? I'll think of something, don't worry. We'll hire a nanny. After all, this is not a problem for us. No, dear, you know my opinion. I don't agree to leave the children with an unfamiliar person for a whole day. Tanyusha, let's talk later. I have a lot of work to do. Sergey, you always have some business to do. Sometimes it seems to me that you have nothing to do with me and my sons. Dear, don't say that. All I do is for us to live well, so that Gleb, Platon, and our daughter, who will soon appear, don't need anything. Okay, sorry, I shouldn't say that. I just really miss you. I want to see you more often. Sergey sat in the office until late. The children had already slept, and his wife was waiting in the living room. I'm sorry, darling. I said too much today. Yes, everything is fine. You need to take care of yourself. You shouldn't have waited for me. Let's go to the kitchen. I'll warm up your dinner. No, I'm not hungry. I ordered food delivery to the office. And by the way, I brought you a roll with poppy seeds. The roll is very tasty. I have never tried this anywhere, and the cherry pies are just the freshest. The roll is really good, and I didn't like the buns with cherries at all last time. Sergey thought deeply, and for some reason, remembered the old woman he saw near the tent. Dear, go to bed. Tomorrow you will go to the office again, right? But Sergey thought so much that he did not pay attention to his wife's words. Sergey, what's wrong with you? Tell me honestly, do you have any trouble at the company? You are so thoughtful, all in yourself. No, everything is fine at work. If I manage to make a deal with one supplier, everything will be great. You are very tired. You are sleeping on the go. Listen, I'm trying to remember. I saw an old woman on the market today. I was completely thinking about work then, and now I'm starting to remember. It seems she asked the seller to eat. What a horror. Well, you bought her something? The point is that no, I had to make a very important call about work. I was thinking about the details of the upcoming conversation, so I didn't listen to the seller and grandmother. Now I just began to remember the fragments of the phrase, and most importantly, I know her face. But I can't remember where I saw her before. And she also had such watches on her hands. Sergey was a kind and heartbroken person. The old woman he met on the market didn't come out of his head. He was angry at the fact that he did not help a person in his own way, because she needed him very much. And then the face was so familiar, but he could not remember where they could meet earlier. Sergey arrived at the office very early, began to do some calculations, trying to make a few simple calculations. I can't get together today. It seems that with mathematics, everything is fine with me. Sergey smiled. Mathematics for sure. Is it Galina Petrovna? She exclaimed. Oh my God, was it really her? And these unusual watches? Exactly, because every time the lesson was over, she showed her watch and said that we can be free. And the hairstyle is still the same. It's almost years I haven't seen her. She's certainly changed. Galina Petrovna was a very good math teacher. Everyone loved her. Many came to her for advice, and she did not give anyone her attention. Galina Petrovna completely gave up her job and later got married. They did not get along with children, so she gave all her love to children at school. She never screamed. She tried to explain everything so that children could learn a new lesson well. After a while, she divorced her husband because he was a strong drinker. Sergey's childhood cannot be called easy. His grandmother brought him up. His parents died. That night, when his parents returned home late at night, a truck crashed into them, and Seryoza himself was on vacation with his grandmother. At school, he studied hard. The boy understood perfectly well that he had no support except for his grandmother, and she was already a pensioner and lived only for retirement. So everything in this life had to be achieved by itself. Teachers always praised him for his perseverance. He never let go of his hands, even if something didn't work out the first time. His photo was even on the success board at school. He also didn't have equal in sports. Galina Petrovna always considered him her favorite. He even came to visit her. She often baked different cakes and invited him to visit her. She lived in a private house, so she asked him to bring firewood, then to bring water. Galina Petrovna knew that Syriza and her grandmother lived very poor. There were not enough products. She invited him to lunch several times, but the boy categorically refused. He was ashamed. Therefore, the teacher went to trickery and came up with different jobs for him. And after work on the table, he always waited for a satiety lunch and sweets. And also Galina Petrovna baked bread herself, rolls with poppy, and pies with different fillings. What were these pies? Soft, airy. There is nothing tastier in the world, said then Sergei. But if there is nothing tastier, you must treat your grandmother. And she gave him pies with her to the roulette. Sergei was so immersed in youthful memories, throwing himself in the chair, that he forgot about the false deeds that awaited him at work. He did not even hear how employees came to the office, although the door to his office was open. Sergei Borisovich, what happened? The secretary ran up to him. Are you crying? No, Julia, my eyes are just tearing up. I'm going to the pharmacy to get some drops. I don't need it. I have it. You better call the general. Sergei knew that at the place of the house where Galina Petrovna once lived, the multi-story buildings had grown long ago. So in order to find out her address, he decided to contact his old friend. It took a long time to wait. An hour later, Sergei already knew the address of his former teacher. Only the visit to her had to be postponed a little, as there were many unfinished business at work. Late in the evening, returning home, Sergei told about Galina Petrovna to his wife. Tanya, I just thought, you were worried that you would not be able to leave children with some unknown person when you were in the maternity hospital. Galina Petrovna is an intelligent and decent woman. Maybe we should invite her? She did so much for me. So many advices she gave before graduation from school. Perhaps I wouldn't have achieved what I have if it weren't for her words. I can't leave her in trouble. Of course, dear, I don't mind. Bring her in. Let her live with us. There's a lot of space in the house. Perhaps she can understand our eldest son so that he doesn't fight in school. Oh, yes, Galina Petrovna has a reason to be convinced. Sergei smiled. He had a complete understanding of his wife. Only on Sunday Sergei was able to sort out his business. Having bought a bouquet of hydrangeas, he went to his former teacher. She loved them very much. Sergei, worried as a schoolboy, pressed the call button, and suddenly he heard footsteps behind the door. Galina Petrovna changed a lot, almost unrecognizable. Her face was slid open, full of joy. Her eyes lost their color and shine. Hello, Galina Petrovna. I'm Sergei, your student. You probably don't remember me anymore. It's been years. Hello, Seryoza. Of course I remember. Komin. I found out about you at the market. I'm sorry, I was completely thinking about work and didn't recognize you right away. And when I came home, I began to remember everything. And I thought you were ashamed to come up to me and didn't do it yourself. And tears rolled down from the eyes of an old woman. I was looking for you, and I'm very glad I could find you. Sergei stretched a bouquet of flowers. Thank you. I received flowers last time at school until I retired. Well, how did you leave? Did you ask me? Sorry, Seryozenka, I can't even offer you tea. Pension is only in 2 days. I'll make you tea at home. Actually, I came to pick you up. I have a big house. I'm married. 2 children. Soon I will have a 3rd child. Oh, come on. No, I can't sit on your neck. And your family will hardly be happy to appear in the house of a stranger. Galina Petrovna, I wanted to offer her a job. I talked to my wife. She only agreed. Our children need a wise teacher and mentor. Who, if not you? My eldest son, Gleb, is constantly fighting. We were called to school the other day. Oh, Seryoza, will I be able to cope now? Otherwise, it's not what it used to be. Get ready, Galina Petrovna, let's go meet my housemates. Since that day, Galina Petrovna has settled in Sergei's house. She never needed help again. Tanya liked to talk to Galina Petrovna. Such an interesting interlocutor and an old teacher. Wise, step-pant woman, an experienced pedagogue of the old school. After a week and a half, the family had an addition. A long-awaited daughter appeared in the world. During Tatiana's stay in the maternity home, the sons spent the whole day with their new nanny, who told them about their father, how he was in his childhood. Sergei and Tanya were sure that their sons were in the most reliable hands. Their son Gleb became more mature and did not fight at school anymore. Apparently, Galina Petrovna really had a gift of conviction. When Tanya and the baby were taken from the maternity home, Galina Petrovna met them, which was only baked. They drank tea with pies, and their house was cozy and warm, which Galina Petrovna didn't have before.